I shouldn't have left all that and come to Ghana. I shouldn't.
One of the things that fascinates me is that you took photos of the very first president, first prime minister, first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. How did that happen?
To do this in future, I didn't know. Just life and just the opportunity and just the habit of being patient and also feeling ambitious to do a new thing. If now, after so many years, Ghana is recognizing my work, honestly, so he knew my studio, and Nkrumah knew about me. See, Rollins knew me.
Meet James Barnor, Ghana's legendary photographer who captured history through his lens. From documenting Ghana's independence era and photographing the first president, Kwame Nkrumah, to opening his first studio in Jamestown, Accra, Barnor's work immortalized a nation's journey. At 95, his legacy continues to inspire. He was the first official photojournalist for Ghana's Daily Graphic, and his favorite subject is taking photos of people. The James Barnor 95 Festival celebrated his birthday. It also celebrated his lifetime of work with an exhibit of his photographs. Here's my exclusive interview with him when he was in Ghana celebrating his 95th birthday last year. So today I am with a legendary photographer, an icon, a very important person, not only in Ghana's history, but in global history. Mr. James Barnor is someone who has documented history for over 6 decades. And I'm so fascinated by him. I am happy that he had a little bit of time today during the James Barnor 95 Festival while he's celebrating his 95th birthday in Ghana. Thank you so much, James, for taking a little bit of time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I first saw your work, I first heard your name in Toronto. There was an exhibition of your work, and someone told me a Ghanaian photographer has work being exhibited. You have to go see it. So I went. And when I went and I saw the photos, I realized I had seen your photos before. I just didn't know your name until that day. And fast forward 2019, I got to meet you when you came to Ghana to celebrate your 90th. What I want to know is, what made you pick up a camera when you did? How old were you the first time you picked up a camera?
I was given the camera suddenly or surprisingly, or a time that I wasn't expecting a camera. I must confess or say how proud I am to belong to a family of photographers. My uncles and cousins were photographers. But I don't remember wanting to be a photographer. And I don't remember even assisting any of them in photography as a little boy. A teacher who taught art and craft, of whom I was very proud, he taught me weaving, how to make baskets in school, and also weave cloth. He was the same person who gave me the camera. I remember very well. It was a baby brownie. And I started playing with it. And somehow, I was then a teacher in an infant school, teaching class as well as the weaving, and also taking the school band as well, because during my school days I was a flautist in our school band. So I took over the school band as well. And I was quite happy till this camera came. So it was a surprise and a new side issue or new interest.
So when you started taking photographs, what were the things that inspired you? Was it people? Was it landscapes? What were you gravitating to?
I like taking people. I like taking people. I remember the first object I took was one of the girls in the school. I didn't know then that I would fill the frame with the main object of the photograph. So I just stood there, and whatever I saw, I photographed, because the picture is around somewhere. And now I look at it and found so many mistakes, but I like to take people. I have also come across another picture I took with the same camera that was of a bus, a local municipal bus, waiting at a bus stop, with the conductor issuing tickets while the inspector was watching from the distance. That picture is still there, and it was taken with the same camera. These are the only two pictures that I recall. And this was in 1946, 46. And it was this camera that more or less I used, and then went on to another camera and went on to another camera until I decided that I could study photography. But it wasn't before, because it was this camera. And when not having a place to develop and print for myself, not even knowing how to do it, whenever I took picture, like all amateurs, you send it to a local photographer with a studio and a darkroom to develop and print for you. Even that was a branch of the ordinary photographer's work, by which he can make money, develop and print for amateurs, and give them their negatives and their prints. When they want or need enlargements, they come to you with a negative, and you do it and charge them. And so I had one particular roadside photographer that I used to visit, or I used to give my films to. I had sometimes got to wait outside while he went into the dark room to develop, or even when he's making the prints, I sat there and watching. That must also have added to my interest in wanting to do it.
So you started to develop your own at a point, or you always went to someone to do the developing?
I didn't do any darkroom work at all until I went into apprenticeship.
Okay.
And as a school teacher, I was quite all right. I was living with my parents, and everything was fine. But somehow, something made me want to leave the teaching, unfortunately. So I told my uncle, and we arranged, and I had to resign from the school, and he more or less put me in charge or sent me to my cousin.
Mm-hmm. Your cousin was also in Accra.
Accra. I would say he was the leading portrait photographer at the time, or he was a popular portrait photographer. He was called Mr. J.P. Dakudodu. He was called Mr. J.P.D. Dodu. And I was sent to him to train me. Mm-hmm. That's when I went into photography, and then started from scratch, this developing printing and all the rest of it.
The rest is history. What led to you becoming the first photojournalist of the Graphic? How did that come about?
I think that was maybe built for me, or it was my luck. When the Daily Graphic or the Mirror Group of newspapers in London wanted to establish a paper in Ghana, the proprietor or the director came with a photographer. They wanted to recruit new journalists like reporters and sub-editors and so on, and they wanted a photographer as well. Before all newspapers were printed, there were quite a few newspapers in Ghana at the time: Morning Post, Spectator, Evening News, and a few, but they all printed by letterpress. And there wasn't the need to produce pictures every day, making blocks and changing them every day. They used old pictures, old blocks to print. But with a rotary machine, when a newspaper is being printed with a whole roll of paper in the machine to start with, and end up, say, with 8 pages or 12 pages or 32 pages with pictures, they needed a regular permanent photographer to be producing the pictures every day or any time a picture was needed. So they had to add a photographer. And the photographer from the Daily Mirror, who went into the town to find a photographer, was directed to my cousin, from whom I learned photography. And he said, "Oh, I don't do this type of photography, but I know somebody who does." So he let his son ride in the car and came to my studio all of a sudden. That's why I say maybe, it was my luck to get it.
That's great.
I showed him what I had because he wanted to see my work. I showed him a few postcards, I would say, in a box. And he looked at them. He said, "Not quite, but we will train you." Not quite, but we will train you. Tomorrow, come to the Graphic. And that's the beginning.
Okay, that's great. And you're part of documenting history in Ghana. One of the things that fascinates me is that you took photos of the very first president, first prime minister, first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. How did that happen? How did you get to meet him and start taking his photographs?
One fact is that when you're a newspaper photographer or photojournalist or whatever you call it, with the power to, your job is to do that. These things come and you are given the assignment. There's somebody here, we want his picture, this is his address, or you find the address. So the chance of meeting people, either electricians or thieves, people who were being caught, and they say, take a picture of this prisoner or something like that, comes automatically because it's your work. So I can't say there's any special way why I came in contact with.
Okay.
Only I was born at a time when things happen. I was born at the time that things that happened became history in my own time.
How does it feel knowing that you were part of history? You were part of, I mean, I would have loved to have been.
Then I wouldn't know. Then I wouldn't know. It's so many years after. I was in the graphic before 1950, or in 1950, before the paper came out. The paper, was published. I went there, I think, twice or three times as a staff member. One, I'll go and resign. I go again and I resign. They come and call me, and I resign because I had my own work.
Okay.
Because I had my own work, so I didn't take anything, anything for granted. If I get annoyed, I just leave and go and do my own work.
Okay.
And I did that.
Okay.
But then I didn't know where my pictures would end. That was 1950. Now, 90 what? We are in 2024. I wouldn't have known then what the result will be, so that I'll be feeling, in future you'll be so and so, so do this. In future, I didn't know. Just life, and just the opportunity, and just the habit of being patient, and also feeling ambitious to do a new thing or get things done properly. When there was a new thing that I didn't know, I had to strive and overcome it. When I finish, I know that, yes, I've got this under my armpit, or I've got, and I go to another one. Even same with cameras. I didn't worry about what camera, to use or this. I just went along with any camera I got. I got to find the limitations of the camera, how I can make it do the things I want, or the things I have in front of me, if the camera can do it. That's all. When I get a better camera, it means my quality is changing. I notice, but not because I want a better quality, I'm going to buy a new camera. I didn't even have the money. So from the baby brownie, I went to box camera, of a sort, and another one. They were all secondhand. I quite remember when I got nearly new box camera. You see, so what do you feel that, today you are being called so and so? What do you feel that I didn't have a clue what I would be, or even what I want to be, because there was no newspaper photographer as such the time I did it. There were quite a few photographers working for the information department, and they were, I would say, doing the things that a newspaper photographer would do. They followed the news. So when there's a Nkrumah or there's somebody important coming, you're just sent to go and do it.
You're doing your work. Do you have any memorable stories about Kwame Nkrumah when
Somebody
you took photos?
Just said, the person even, I took a photo of Kwame Nkrumah walking to the football field, the center of field, to kick off for a start of a match between Ghana and Togo. And it's the place where they call Sodom and Gomorrah. The park was called Owusu Memorial Park.
Owusu Memorial Park.
Yes, Owusu Memorial Park, where they have the market, and there's a lot of trouble about that place.
That place is very troublesome now.
Part of it was a football park, and that, Nkrumah and his people had just come out of prison, and they were being exposed, taking chance to go to public places, and he was invited to do the shooting, to kick off. And I think one or two of his lieutenants walked from where they were sitting. They walked to the place, and I went there and sort of took their pictures until he did the kickoff. And it's just a simple thing. Nobody remembers it. I don't know whether we publish it in the paper or not. But today, I take it as one of my favorite pictures of Kwame Nkrumah.
Nice, nice. So when did you decide to go to the UK? Because I think you went to the UK and you came back. Is that correct?
I decided to go, or I had the chance to go to the UK 2 years after independence. That's about 10 years after I had qualified as a photographer.
Okay.
And done bits and pieces. 2 years after independence, some things happened and I had to go. And I remember going by boat.
Boat? Wow.
Arriving in London on the 1st of December, 1959. So, it helped me to remember my age or my days that things happened. I was born in 1929, and 1939, I knew what happened, war, Second World War, and then I continued school from, I think, standard 2. 1939, I was in standard 2. And I finished school 1949. I finished my school and apprenticeship 1949. And then 59, 10 years after, I went to Britain. And in fact, I returned 69, 70. So the 999 all the time.
Significant number.
So when people even think that, oh, your age is fabricated, I just laugh. Because I knew when I went to school, I knew my classmates. I remember every teacher that I learned from, I remember all of them.
You are very, very sharp. That's one thing I've said that I've noticed about you. You're sharp, and your memory is just so clear. I'm 51 and I'm forgetting things all the time. I don't remember the names of all my teachers. So that's really, really good that you have that gift. You have a gift.
I remember old things, and sometimes, the short memory is rather defective, slightly defective, because of the pictures and because of other things. I remember past things easy. Not sometimes I'll wake up and say I'm going to the room to take a pen or to take, and I'll forget at the gate and then come and sit down again. Before I remember.
I do that with my keys. I forget where I put my keys.
But, the other day I was seeing there was a name of one of my models that I'd forgotten. I was sitting down and the name came just like that. And I remember when people come to me in Britain and I'm talking about Accra, the streets and the names of the streets, everything, I picture them as if I was sitting in Accra. When sometimes I find it difficult to tell them that when you pass right, you go to this place, you turn left, you get. I have to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I came back, I can remember some old places that, with all the new changes, with all the new buildings, I still remember some corners.
Mm-hmm. The Ever Young studio, when you started that, you were the first to start a color studio. Is what
Ever Young is different from the color.
Okay, please explain
Which
it to
came
me.
first?
Which came first? The Ever Young.
Yes, because when I finished my apprenticeship, uh, I had to give the name, get a studio, a studio name, so that people will know me. I didn't use my name first. When first it was developing and printing, but when I started the studio, I had to find a name, and that's when the Ever Young came in. So that started from 1949. The Ever Young came in. The color came in 1969, 70, because 69 I was in Belgium, sort of topping up on what I'll be coming to Ghana to do. And the color was part of it, because they employed me, or I was employed by a firm to come and sell photography, or stand in place of a photographic manager that they lost. But I happen to have done color, developing and printing of color. So I was an asset more than just a photo manager. There was nobody doing color then. Anybody who took color pictures had to send them overseas for developing and printing. But the company realized that if they could get the service in Ghana, it means more business for them, because people will buy more color film and take them and get them processed in Ghana. Because of lack of foreign exchange, people were limited and they didn't do the color. Mm-hmm. And so it was a chance, for me to come to Ghana with something. It was a chance for the firm to get somebody with the knowledge of color to start and make them money.
When you came back to Ghana, did you enjoy being back, or did you long to return to the UK?
And later, when you asked that, I wanted to bring this color. I wanted to introduce this color. I wanted to give something back. And so I was glad. But the economy of the country made it a bit difficult. And in the end, I was sorry I came. I wasn't sorry to kill myself, but I could have stayed. The time that I got the job to come, I was at the height of my fame and prosperity.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, I see the smile.
Yes, because
what were you doing?
Even though I wasn't a rich man, and I was satisfied that I didn't have to worry about anything. Color was new in Europe then, color itself. And I happened to have learned, and I'm working in the laboratory, the leading laboratory in Britain.
Which one was that?
CPL, Color Processing Laboratory. Okay. CPL. Even when I came, I had wanted the firm that employed me to call the printing the same, something like CPL Ghana or something. But later, they did write the post, they signed, but later they changed it. So I left it. CPL.
Interesting.
And at the time, anybody who works for in photographic and works for CPL was extra. And I was a black man working at CPL in a village, small village in Kent. That was a satisfaction that no one can describe except me. Mm-hmm. Having been in photography from the beginning in Ghana, 10 years, and come here, and then you get the chance to learn color. It was wonderful. I would say I did go to school. Again, when I started the color, I was forced to go to college. Mm-hmm. So I did go to college, but I didn't leave the color. And during my holidays and so on, and even when I finished the color, the college introduced color processing into our curriculum. So the photographers had to learn the color, and I was employed instantly to take charge. So I had been in color for some time. And later, I went back to the color laboratory to work, and I was in the color laboratory. So I was paid well. I had a secure job, and I also had the key. I mean, I was in the key position with Drum Magazine for their covers. I was there, I knew.
That's where the fame came.
In Ghana, I did work with Drum 54 or thereabout when it was established. Okay. And when I went there, in fact, their office was my house or my backbone. Mm-hmm. And so going back to school and doing all sorts of things, I still use them. And I was the one responsible for the covers. Mm-hmm. So if I was working in color processing, which is different from taking models, mm-hmm. The technique of developing developing and printing of color is completely different from using a camera to take pictures. So I had both. I had photography, black and white. I had the color knowledge of developing and printing, as well as the chance to take color models in color for the drum. Mm-hmm. In fact, I lived in Kent most of the time. Anytime I went to London and saw drum covers or drum magazine being exposed for sale in the newsstand, I felt very happy. I felt yes, proud. Because nobody knew I took the picture, yeah, or anything like that. So I had those two, and I had my camera that I could photograph anybody or everybody, or mostly Ghanaian students having their parties and weddings. I had three means or sources of making money or a living. One, regular employee as a color printer, and that is not a mean job. Two, I was for drum. It's when I'm not there because before they get another freelance photographer. Yes, before they get, or if, say, another photographer presents a useful picture for them, a suitable, then they will use it. Otherwise, when they find models, they direct the models to me. Or when I come across a model, I take the pictures and present them, and they are published. So those two, plus my own camera and the market for Ghanaian students or mm-hmm. citizenry. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't have left all that and come to Ghana. I shouldn't. That's why I say, even I didn't earn money, I didn't have a house, I didn't have anything, but I was still at the height of my fame and prosperity. You see?
You know, it's interesting because now, when we fast forward to now, you're 95 years old, and you have a level of fame happening right now. Like, people are really admiring you and looking to you as an icon, as a person who was broke the mold. You were leading the way, but you didn't realize it at the time.
No,
But you were
no.
opening doors for others behind you who've benefited from the work that you've done. And now, being in Ghana and being celebrated, how does it feel to now be at this point?
At least, you know, um, I've got some satisfaction that not all people have, because I have the willingness, the habit of giving, doing things, and not necessarily receiving reward for it or being paid for it. I have that in me. If anybody needs help and I can give the help, I forget about myself and do that. So if now, after so many years, Ghana is recognizing my work and my worth, I've been given the Order of the Volta, which is something. I had Guba award.
Lifetime achievements.
Yes, for long time achievement. And even GAFIC, Ghana Association they have published stories or the life of, I think, 19 Ghanaians. And this is the first edition, but they published this, and my name is among the 19. Then you realize that it's not just a fluke. It's not that people are saying things which are not correct. But the thing is that it took a long time. Even it took a long time for people to see my pictures, because they were in boxes, that I'd kept. But I managed to keep them. And somehow, when I traveled, I took them with me or something like that. I don't have a place of my own. I don't have a house where I can keep these safely and say they are here. So when I move with them.
You move with your pictures.
And I've had these boxes, and by chance, they've been exposed. They started being exposed in 2010, yes, by Autograph. Autograph, there's an association of photographers or association to promote Black photographers. And somehow they got to know about my work through a Ghanaian curator, and they used my work to, I think, do an exhibition for Ghana at 50 in London. Ghana at 50 in London.
Right.
So that started exposing my work. And then one after another.
Right. And then I think Mike's Quest also did an exhibition of some of your work.
That's what I was going to say. Autograph did an exhibition of my work in South Africa. And I went to open it and came, and a friend of his, a schoolmate, of his, told him about me. So he rang me, to find out the truth of who I was. I think he was at the Guba Award and saw me too, but he didn't know who I was. So when he heard this from his friend, he rang me and we talked. And I said, I'll be going back to South Africa for the closing of the exhibition. And after some time, he rang me again and said, where is the nearest hotel, or where do you are you living and where is your exhibition? I explained everything. At the time I reached South Africa, he was there. That's what makes him special to me. No Ghanaian will have interest in photography to leave Ghana and fly to South Africa just to look at a photographer's work. He made a lot of notes. In fact, he wanted to do a documentary, 10 years documentary with it. He hasn't done it yet. But he said, no, this must be in Ghana. You can't have all these outside Ghana and nobody knows about it. Mm-hmm. So when we returned, he visited me, we sat down, and he selected a few. And we made prints from them because I got autographed to do the prints and everything. And he brought them to Ghana, framed them, and we had a nice reception at the British Council, mm-hmm. where Mike Egan, who had then retired, accepted to be the MC of the meeting. And so was Dentar, who lived in London, but he was in Ghana before. So one small event had two MCs of notable people. Mm-hmm. And that really pleased me. And it was nice. We had the reception to show the prints before the actual exhibition at the mall. It was a Republic holiday. So the exhibition didn't last long at all, just the holiday period. And he's got those pictures still. When I was 90, he showed them at the British Council, but at the British High Commissioner's house.
Yes.
And when Prince Charles, now King Charles, came to Ghana, he exhibited the same pictures at Jamestown Cafe. Mm-hmm. There are pictures that they took of it. And the prince asked him to tell me that he and his wife had come to Ghana, seen my pictures, and they've enjoyed it. Because earlier I had presented a copy of my first book, James Barnor, Ever Young, to them. Mm-hmm. And I think they've looked at the book, maybe they're on their coffee table or something like that. So he knew. So when he came and saw the exhibition, he sent the message. And Mike came to Paris to tell me the message. So Mike is a special person to me, very special.
And more importantly, he's been an absolute inspiration.
That somebody like a Ghanaian, and a young man, doing that with his money. Where does he get the money from? Look at his age, like my son, mm-hmm. And he can do these things without worry. Mm-hmm. So I really love him. And I remember photographing his wedding, where I met his mother and I think his father as well. Mm-hmm. So
that's nice.
He's like, he comes and we've got a James Barnor Foundation in London, registered there. And he's a trustee. Mm-hmm. So he's not just anybody to me. Mm.
How do you feel seeing how photography has changed? Because now everybody is picking up their phone and just snapping pictures away. I even saw you snapping photos at the Lipstick Queens performance.
I wish I had done more. I was urging, but now at my age, I cannot balance very well. Mm-hmm. So how I would like to do it, I couldn't get up. Mm-hmm. So I just sat down. Mm-hmm. But anytime I don't use cameras now,
Mm-hmm.
except phones or laptop or something like that. But I do take photographs because where I live in London, just outside there, it's a nice scene. There's a canal there, and boats sail up and down. Wildlife like ducks and swans, and they're there all the time. And when I hear something, I get up and take a picture. You know, which they're always on my laptop on my phone.
What advice do you have for photographers today? Because young photographers don't have the same pressures you had when you were starting to have to now go process the film. Because I remember taking pictures. I've always loved taking pictures. My dad had a Canon camera. He had 3 lenses, and I would take pictures, and then you have to go get them developed, and you wait like a week, or maybe if you want to rush 3 days to get your pictures. So there was this anticipation, and it's different now.
Completely different.
Completely different. What would you tell somebody who is an aspiring photographer in today's age?
It hasn't really occurred to me. It hasn't occurred to me because, when I started photography or finished my apprentice, you start developing and printing for others.
Yeah.
I remember very well. I had friends, even I had addresses outside Accra, Akimabuakwa, and other places where I sent leaflets, flyers. And so when the amateur photographers, schoolboys, they took pictures, they posted them to me. So I'll go to the post office, collect them, develop quickly, and post them back. So that developing and printing was a part of the business that set me up, I would say, even though my uncle gave me all his photographic equipment. Yet he didn't do development and printing. He was a big portrait photographer. This was my uncle. But my cousin who taught me was another. And another cousin who led me into the photojournalism was another. See, but since I got the equipment, I started to feed or to serve the local amateur photographers with good developing and printing. And so it became a part of the work that fed me. Or, today that sort of thing is not there. And no photographer relies on another photographer for any service. But then we had to go to somebody to develop and print for you. But I always complain about photographers' cooperation. If they cooperate, they can do more. I started exhibiting my work before the book came. So I'm still with exhibitions. And I don't see Ghanaian photographers exhibiting, either individually or cooperatively. Like 2 or 3 or 4 photographers join together and then sort themselves, pictures out and exhibit and call other friends to come and look, or, the public to. That is not happening. And I've done it almost, New York, where I started in England, other places before South Africa, and now all over. So exhibiting now is when I have my birthday, I use it as an excuse to exhibit my work. And that's when this festival came in. When I thought of it, somebody said, "Oh, then your birthday, 95th, will be in Ghana." I said, "Hooray!" But it has now been turned into something bigger than just an exhibition. It's spread all over. with chiefs in Tamale, school children, and my work being exhibited by 2 studios. Mahama had his own selection, and Neo Bodai had the selection from Nubuke, which was done 5 years ago. It's all over, and then there is a different one here. In fact, when you go around the streets of Accra, you've got a selection of about 30 to 40 of my prints, large ones, in various places. So there's a tour, tour guide going around seeing my pictures. It's not only to say, oh, James Barnor is photographer, #1 photographer. Nobody is pointing that other photographers, I don't have to tell them that, it's possible to have your pictures in a book because you see mine.
Yes.
This is the second book. Now we've got 5 books. There's a small one published in both French and English. The big one is the 4th one. So I've got 5 books. There's one that I did together with a friend that I'm not releasing. I stopped it because I don't want paperback. And I didn't want interference with another publisher. I want my publisher from the beginning to be the same. So I didn't want to complicate matters. And that is there with some special picture. I didn't bring it this time. I always carry it with me and talk about the pictures in it. If Neo Buddha showed me a picture, a book that they published, so maybe 1 or 2 books are coming from photography. But when they exhibit, when they cooperate and they exhibit their work, then people will be interested to publish them so that it will spread. In fact, this is my address, this is my fear, or this is my anxiety that others do it, not only James Barnor, not only James. All right, James Barnor is a road builder. You start, but others follow.
I'm sure others will follow.
That would please me. I would have gone by then, but I'll be pleased in my grave that Ghanaians are copying. The difference in photography, the difference in the media, like electronics and all we can't stop change. Sometimes I go back and feel that I'm the link between the dinosaurs, the photographers who started first, and they are, cunning or unique equipment and their unique way of producing photographs. I'm the link between them and the modern photographers, because what they are using, I can at least use it. So I'm still working. But what I did, sometimes they don't do it. See, unless they go into archives and do other things. I'm the link. I'm the the dinosaurs, the animals we don't know about. Those who brought photography to Ghana.
Yeah.
And those who are doing them now, I'm the link between. When you talk about cameras, you talk about digital, you talk about things like that, you can't stop change. You can't stop development. And I remember what I haven't said before. When a picture is taken, the photographer will sit for about 1 hour, 30 minutes, 1 hour, retouching the face, with a little pencil to make the face round. When we go back to the old, you see those things. You won't know, but that's how it's made to make the person younger. That's where the Ever Young came in for my name. That is being made. Today, Photoshop will do it in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
See, when you take one, but you can't, the pace at which they work. One day taking, a picture and using one day to do it doesn't worry you. But today, when you finish, even you take a picture and you look at it and see if it's not good, you delete it before you carry on.
Yeah.
The time we were buying film, and you have to go to the dark room to develop it before you see what you've taken. How can you see that the shot is good or not?
Yeah.
Look at the back of the camera. Today you can do it.
Yeah.
So I don't have advice for them.
Okay.
The advice is how to make the thing useful. Tell the story you want and use photography for a good end. That's what I aim for. And,
that's good. That's good. You know what I often say? Because I love taking pictures. I've been taking pictures because as I said, my father was always, I got a camera when I was a teenager. I was taking pictures, and I have always said pictures are documenting moments in life that we will never have again. So we have something to look at.
But at the time when you're young and you don't even realize that very much.
Yeah.
You see, because that time there's no Google.
No, there was no Google.
Maybe you really didn't know what is it, encyclopedia.
Yeah.
That you go and research.
Yes.
and do that. Unless you educate, unless you go to school, and you know that you've got to keep things. You've got to. The difficulty you have in researching will make you keep what you have.
Yeah.
But at the time, when anybody went to a secondary school, you don't think of photography. You want to be a lawyer. You want to be a doctor. You know that photography wasn't so. People who did photography were not educated, so they didn't know how to research and how to archive and how to make notes, so that in future, when you are publishing a book, you have all the answers, you have all the information. You don't even aim to produce a book for archive because you didn't go to school. And I went through that. So that's where I thank God that at least, I am doing, setting this example for others. I always think that it's an example I'm setting for others, but not an achievement for myself. You've done photographing Kwame Nkrumah, you've done just, you were lucky at the time that he needs you, he sends for you. When Kwame Nkrumah, he took over residency of the castle after independence, when he moved to live there, they arranged to meet the chiefs of Accra, Ghanaian chiefs. There is a picture of Kofi Baku, and he was the information. He came to my studio to say, this is happening and we want you to come and take a picture. And I said, how much am I going to be paid? He said, you so and so. When the head of the government is calling you to come, you say how much. I said, please, I'll come. Honestly. So he knew my studio, and Nkrumah knew about me. See, Rollins knew me. Of course, I went to say congratulations, and he knew, but we fell in love when he got to know that I was running a children's cultural group. When I was working at the embassy, American embassy, not very far, his wife was living. So when the first 3 months he was out of the army, he came to live there, and I heard of it. So one afternoon, I walked from the embassy, from the American USIS photographic. This thing was in the corner at the roundabout, and I went and asked. Police were, army were guarding but they took me in. We sat down. Rawlings.
When Rawlings did the coup.
First one that brought this one from the north.
Was it Buzia? No.
No.
I was saying Buzia. No, it wasn't.
The very first.
I can't remember.
Oh, it's in my mind, but
I can't remember.
The first man, and they did again and ousted him.
Yes.
Yes, the very first. So he had to resign, or he had to leave the army, and that's when he went and lived with his wife.
Oh.
Yes, and not long before. And what happened? I think something happened when I was at the American. And I went and congratulated him, and we made friends. And so when he came back and went again onto the throne, we met at the police training college. My friends had passed, and I went to photograph them passing parade, and he was the one who took the salute. So we went, and he met there, and he called me. It surprised everybody that he knew me. He said, "Come and sit by me." So luck, that you meet these people. Later, he made me go and work with the PNDC. So I was there for about 5 years. You see, and more or less any important person who came to meet him, I would be there
to take photos.
Yes.
Well, you said you have luck, but you were also prepared. Because some people, the luck comes their way and they're not prepared, and then the opportunity just falls away. But because you were prepared, you were good, the luck kept coming.
We'll call it so.
I
call myself Lucky Jim. Even how I managed to go to England for the first time. That's another thing. And the last time, or after, when I came in 1969, 70, during the Buzia regime, and started the color. And then I left the firm, and the economy changed to the point that photography wasn't important, so not much license or money was put into it, and the job started to go down. It was hard for me, but it was luck that made me get the chance to go again. And when I went back, I was cleaning schools. I was a cleaner. I'll go and say there's no part of Terminal 3 in London that I hadn't cleaned.
Wow.
Yes. After all the training and after all the jobs in London and in Ghana, I went there as a cleaner.
And how long did you do that?
Oh, well, for some time, from 1994 to a little bit until my pictures got seen.
Right.
I was a cleaner, and I was a good one too. Yes. Almost everybody knew me in the BA, British Airways, their offices. I was there. Only I didn't go to the aeroplanes to clean, but
everywhere in the terminal.
Everywhere, and car parks, certain car parks. But I didn't complain. I thought this is a job I had to do. But it was luck that made me get the chance even to go there. And again, luck that somebody said he works there. I knew him. All right, I'll make you come and work there. And it changed, and things started. Luck that somebody showed my work, and then the Black Cultural Archives thought, oh, we can use your pictures to help Ghana's exhibition for the Ghana at 50. And then from there, an agency saw it and said, all right, bring all your pictures, let me see. And then first, even my 80th birthday, that time I still wasn't known. 80th birthday, I made my own pictures to celebrate my 80th birthday, except that I had two big people, both of them parliamentarians. One was a minister and his wife. They came to open the exhibition, so you can tell, And I remember asking, now, Mr. Barnor, you are 80. What do you feel? Straight away, I feel like 21 because the work has yet to be done. I have so many plans. Now, before my pictures are being seen, what do I do with the pictures? How do I present the pictures? And how do I even find the captions for the pictures? Because if you take a picture now, you should have the caption before you use it. Now,
so now you're 95.
Yes, I'm 95. And the job before me now is to go through all my archives have been made into a database.
Okay.
I think it was put at the disposal of photographers here to go through and see what they can do with them. Now, every day, as soon as I'm free, go to the computer and see which ones have not been captioned, or most of them. When did I take this? And they've been scanned and put in different order.
Okay.
Not all the negatives are, say I take a roll or 2 or 3 rolls on a subject, but because I travel and change and so on, they've been separated. And somebody who is scanning is not with me that I can say this is part of this. So they are being just scanned anyhow. Now, but I have got to remember that this one is a part of this picture. This one, and I took it when this. That is difficult, but that's my work that I have to do now. Yes.
Okay. Well, we were only supposed to talk for a few minutes because I know you've been very, very busy. But I didn't want. I didn't want to
1 hour.
Yes, I didn't want to interrupt you because sometimes when you're passionate and you're sharing a story, for me it's rude for me to interrupt you. So I allowed you.
Anyway, the lady too is a big woman, and
we exchanged contacts.
Yes.
I'll be talking to her.
My work was the exhibition that opened the bouquet. You see, my work was the first exhibition. And it filled the hall. Now, even it went on to the last minute, they said, you cut the tape. So I opened that exhibition.
Wow.
So I have some connection.
That's nice.
And I haven't met her. And last night we met. I showed her this, and she came. So whether I'm tired or not, I've got to be with her for long because we had plans before, and we could go on. The venue should or could be the final resting place of my archives. We talked about it then, but things have changed a bit now. That we could revive it, and see what can be done. We have a lot to talk about.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. You're a legend. I admire you so much. I really, really do.
Legend.
Yes, he's a legend, living legend. If you haven't seen his work, you should pick up one of these books. This one is the retrospective.
Yes.
Is this available online? Can people order this book? Do you know?
I think so.
Because I think the other one is online. He was telling me that there's one that's available online. Is it this one? Available online. Let me just grab it just to show on camera. This book is available on Amazon.
Yeah.
This book is available on Amazon to purchase. It's
James Barnor stories. Yes.
Yeah, James Barnor stories. You can see a whole collection of. Oh, this is you. That's him.
When we start, we won't finish.
That's him.
When we start, we won't finish.
Yeah. So this book is available on Amazon. So thank you so much.
All right.
I really appreciate it.
You thank you.
Are
thank
like
you very
a
much.
grandfather, father, uncle. Like you embody so much history, knowledge, culture, and I know your family loves you and loves being around you and learning so much from you. And we thank you. And I'm looking forward to 5 years from now when we do 100 with James Barnor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we do 100 with James Barnor. Yes. So thank you.
Right. Bye-bye.